One of the lead scientists has been telling us that this dire outcome is now absolutely shifting his tune. 20,000, I am sure it relates to the numbers we are used to in America. That makes this no worse than any other flu, which means, should we all be jumping up and down? I feel like people should be charging out in the streets and screaming, hooray, it's over. It's over. This thing really was either a hoax or a fraud or one of the biggest mistakes the medical establishment has ever made. Is there any other way to see this? I don't know what to say. This is incredible.
The Daily Wire headline reads, epidemiologist behind highly cited coronavirus model admits he was wrong, drastically revises model. Now, this model informed government policy decisions in the U.S. and the UK. So Ferguson basically just gave us evidence in the UK's Parliamentary Select Committee on Science and Technology as part of the nation's coronavirus response. So going back to the Daily Wire report, Ferguson's model projected 2.2 million dead in the United States and 500,000 in the United Kingdom if no action was taken. Daily Wire writes, after just one day of ordered lockdowns in the UK, Ferguson has changed his tune. Now the epidemiologist predicts hospitals will be just fine. So we have 500,000 goes to 20,000. The article continues. It talks about an author and former New York Times reporter, Alex Bernison. He says, quote, this is a remarkable turn from Neil Ferguson, who led the Imperial College authors, who warned of 500,000 UK deaths, and who has now himself tested positive for COVID, stated Bernison. He now says both that the UK should have enough ICU beds and that the coronavirus will probably kill under 20,000 people in the UK, more than half of whom would have died by the end of the year in any case because they were so old and sick. This is his words.
I'm curious how this is going to be handled and reported by the same agencies I've been telling you have been pushing this agenda based on what their bosses at pharma have been telling them to say. It's going to be incredible to see how this all pans out. I think today may end up being a really outrageous day in the news. And for those of you watching the HighWire, it started here. Thank you, Jeffrey, for that amazing report. We should know what we were being led into. How many of your reporters were telling you you needed to make this sacrifice and destroy the economy of America? We can never forget that moment, because Donald Trump, in his decision-making, and believe me, no one would want to have to sit in the middle of this data, which is now proving to be incredibly false data. No one would want to have to make the decision, but this is what he said helped him make that decision. What about the cure? What if the cure is worse? Take a look at what Donald Trump said.
They don't want to be locked into a house or an apartment or some space. It's not for our country. We're not built that way. And I said, I don't want the cure to be worse than the problem itself.